Hi everybody, welcome to the Putting the Human into Technology Fantasy Football Show. My name's Gethin Ellis, and in the first show of this new season we're going to be looking at how you can pick your Game Week 1 side. If you want to keep up with our latest videos as they're released, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Time for Game Week 1 of the Fantasy Premier League 2022-2023 season. If you're watching this video as it's released, you've got about 9.5 hours left before that Game Week 1 deadline. If you want to play this season, you need to have entered your team by this time if you want any chance of winning. Now, picking the first team of the first game week is really difficult. Right? Last year, we turned Fantasy Premier League into a game of data analytics because, here at GethinEllis.com we're a little bit nerdy like that. But it paid handsomely for Berry Wand, who was using our technique. She used Power BI to run the numbers each week, getting data from the Fantasy Premier League API, using that data, analysing that data in Power BI, and then coming up with a team and a strategy that basically put 300 points on her previous best score. Now, we're looking at picking a team. And my starting 11 and starting squad has changed dramatically since I published my first blog on this a few weeks back. So let's have a look at how we're looking. Right, I selected this initial 11 several weeks ago before I went on my holiday to Gibraltar. We had sort of Salah in goal. We followed a strategy of loading up on defenders and midfielders because they're the ones that earn the most points in Fantasy Premier League. So we haven't really spent a lot of money on football. We had Wood there of Newcastle. I got some commentary around this team when I posted out the initial blog post. So Smith Rowe, for example, of Arsenal, some people said he might not get a lot of game time this year. So it did make me reconsider my sort of midfield options. And that had quite a knock-on effect for the rest of the team. Right? And also Wood at Newcastle with Wilson fit. I'm not sure how much game time Wood is going to get. And also Mo Salah isn't in this team either. So I made a few changes. Salah, he did finish last season pretty poorly in terms of his FPL return. Pretty much after the Africa Cup of Nations, he went off a cliff in terms of his returns. But his overall stats were fantastic, and he usually starts the season strongly. So I've added him in my second version. I added in Mo Salah, and overall, I'm pleased he's in. And if he's in my team, he's going to be captain. I got rid of Wood, brought in Haaland, stuck with De Bruyne. Took a few of the premium defenders out. Now, there are a couple of issues with this team. I read that Tierney at Arsenal, he might not be fit for 3 or 4 weeks. Chelsea, who were in there pre-season, were absolutely appalling, so it made me think twice about James starting initially, and he's also was injured quite a lot of last season. But he did have the lowest minutes per points return. He averaged a point every 13 minutes or so out of all the defenders in the league. Haaland is expensive. He's also a forward, so his goals aren't worth as much as a midfield player. And also, players, when they transition from the Bundesliga, they can take a while to adapt. And his performance in the Community Shield made me think he's going to be a good player to have in my team at some point this year, but perhaps not for a few games yet, and definitely not in Game Week 1. No doubt he'll endeavour to prove me wrong around this as well. Now, my third team, start to feel a little bit happier with. All right, now, clearly, until the season starts and we've got some proper data to analyse, it can be very much hit and miss. So this sort of first game week is kind of like, ooh, this looks good, this looks good. So I saved some money on my goalkeepers. I got rid of Salah and brought in the Brighton keepers just because they're the cheapest combination you can get to always have a goalkeeper playing. Goalkeepers don't make you a great return in fantasy football either. Brought in some more premium defenders. We got Liverpool's defenders. Neco Williams is a bargain at Forest, and then Cancelo and Perisic at Tottenham. All going to be bombing forward. Then midfield, we've still got Salah, De Bruyne, Saka of Arsenal, and then we've got Andreas at Fulham, and I've got Neto in this team. And then I brought in Jesus from Arsenal, and then I've got 2 very cheap forwards in the form of Greenwood and Taylor. Now, if we look at the general figures by position, goals, assists and bonus points, right? The stats say that you should be loading up on defenders and midfielders Right, and that's what I've done this year. So Berry's going to be starting with just the one striker, Jesus, and if he fails to play, we're going to hope, fingers crossed, that Greenwood or Taylor get some game time and get some points. We chose the Brighton keepers just to keep our spending on goalkeepers to a minimum. And the only small gripe I've really got with this side is Son isn't in it, which is a little bit of a shame because he was absolute quality in FPL terms last year. But that could be an easy switch should we need to make that move later in the season. Then as this week has progressed, from that version 3 team, I had about 500,000 spare. So I decided, off the back of a comment I read about how Wolves play, which basically said Wolves don't score many goals. And that got me thinking, because I live in Wolverhampton and I often go to watch Wolves play, and Wolves don't score many goals, that's true. But I wanted to just use some data to support that decision. So I created a quick table in Power BI just to show how many goals each team scored last season and the number of assists that they got as well. Because after all, that's what FPL is about, buying goals, assists and bonus points. And you can see there Wolves were the 4th lowest scoring team in the league with 35. Alright, so that made me basically decide I needed to swap out Neto, because he's not going to get many goals and assists if the team aren't scoring many, and Jimenez is injured as well, so the potent threat from Wolves perhaps goes away a little bit. Arsenal have got a favourable start to the season, so we've gone with Martinelli of Arsenal replacing Neto. And then, as we came to Wednesday, it came to my attention that the estimated points through the FPL API is now available. Right? Yay, awesome. So I revisited that and looked at some data. Now, according to the estimated points, which, given the fact that the teams haven't played for a while, etc., my team is likely to get 41 points this week. I don't think I can really rely on that data at this point. Right, so I'm not going to make too many changes off the back of only getting 41. We're aiming for 67. It's 41 plus a double captain, which would be Salah, so say 47 points there. Right? But we will use it to make Salah as captain, who's estimated to get 6 points in this first game week. Now, this is just the start. Right? My underlying philosophy hasn't changed. How often my players have changed in my team. We've loaded up on defence and midfield. We've got the most scoring opportunities. Midfielders and defenders, they get points for clean sheets, assists and goals. Forward get points for goals and assists. Right? Forwards' goals are actually worth 1 point less than the midfielders. So putting that into context, if Man City win 2-0 and Haaland scores both, he'll get 4 points for each goal, so 8 points. Right? Not including any bonus points. If Liverpool win 2-0 and Salah gets a brace, Salah's going to get 11 points. Right? 5 points for each goal plus a 1 clean sheet. 1 point for the clean sheet. Right? Now we can change things up. If Haaland hits the ground running and he's walking away with a goal, we can swap him in and maybe bring in some cheaper options elsewhere around the park. Right? But I doubt I'll be rushing into doing that. You never know. Right? I'll probably be more tempted to try and squeeze Son into this side and keep Salah and Kevin De Bruyne if that's possible. Now, what I've learned over the last few seasons playing FPL is it's not how you start, it's how you finish that matters. So going into game week 1, a bad week doesn't mean a bad season. Right, so planning with this in mind, we're going to keep things nice and simple. Right, so we're going to plan to use our wild card between game week 6 and game week 10, so we can maximise the team points in the build up to the World Cup, and then we've got the free wild card in the World Cup intermission. If we can get to about 1,000 points by the time of the World Cup, we're going to be on course. And if we need to change things, we can, and I'll keep you posted here as to the changes we make. But anyway, it's almost time for that deadline. Good luck with your new season, and it's still not too late to join our league. I'll leave a code in the comments.